For this part, we get to the big chart, and this little guy tells us we need to roll 3d6 and we need to come up with an order for them, all right? So for example, let's say we're gonna go from dark to lightest. So blue, brown, translucent, what is that, pink or orange? So our number here would be a 3, 5, 9. If we don't like what we roll, if it doesn't work for us, we can just read it backwards if we need to. And now, that's not a 9, sorry, it's a 6-sided dice. And so now we have a roll that's 6, 5, 3. So we will give ourselves some leeway. I like to kind of read both ways and see which entries fits with what we're doing. Because, you know, it doesn't need to be totally randomized. It just needs to make sense with the larger story that we have going on here. And we are now in the development phase. Roll on the events table, follow the actions, note down the event on the timeline. And we have another little one that I like to do. It's called natural growth. And here we can add citizen tokens to any district on the map. And this just shows that your city is growing normally. Like people are having kids, people are coming to it, immigrating to it, or whatever. You're not totally isolated or remote. So at the end of every event, we're going to move a citizen token from our pool to the city, and we're going to add a district to the map. So that means that our little city here, these squares are going to slowly be expanding and growing as events occur. I like that. I think it kind of fleshes out the city a little bit. So let's go ahead and make our first roll. And let's see, how about okay, let's do what, 5, 23. Ah, good, this will be cool. Yes, this one I definitely like. A palace of worship, a temple, a cathedral, or a pyramid for blood sacrifice. What do people practice here? Add a landmark, a faction gains power. Okay, so this will be cool. Of course, we have to have religion. Any large city is, of course, going to have religion. And I feel like with this moonlit metal, that what's going to pop up is some sort of a religion based around the moon. All right, the moon god, whatever it is, or the god of moonlight or starlight, that's what these little dwarven people are going to practice. So let's add a new district, and let's add it, we'll just say maybe down here in this little corner here. And we're also going to add a temple. So let's make our second district, just going to come in like this. Boom, boom. And at the heart of this particular district, we're going to have our temple to the moon. Even though it doesn't say to do so, I feel like it makes sense that we're going to get a new faction that arises, and that's going to be a religious faction. So I'm going to take my token here and I'm going to say that there's a new faction in town. This little moon faction has come in, and they are going to get a citizen token right now. So we have two sort of powers that are going on right now. We have the loyalists and the moon priests who are here. We're still solidly aligned with whatever original dwarven kingdom is happening, but on our little chart here, I'm going to say our first phase is Palace of Worship. All right. Now let's roll for our second phase. And 4, 1, 3. A great fear. What could possibly terrify a whole city? Is it a monster, a virus, a curse, or just the inflated rumors of a dangerous neighbor? A faction gains power. Ooh, so I think from what we have so far, I think there's going to be a couple of things that we could do here. Our first fear can be something up here, another kingdom.
humans, maybe? Maybe there's human settlements up here that have recently been discovered. Word has spread, and there's a fear that they're going to come in and, as disgusting humans do, just take over this wonderful little dwarven city. Could be our first fear. Second fear, of course, is that something, right? We've delved too deep. There could be something, a rumbling, a miners getting mysteriously taken, or tunnels collapsing and shaking underground. There could be a beast or something, maybe unknown, lurking in this mine system that we're digging out so greedily. Third thing, of course, is the dwarven city that so far has been neutral, has decided, no, we do want to claim this. We want to claim this for our own, and we're going to wipe everything out and start anew. And maybe that's the fear, is a change of life. And you can see how this would all pan out. If the problem is going to be with the original dwarven city, then I would think that the independence would grow in power. Maybe more people are saying, no, we don't want to be there. If there's a problem with the mine system and something terrible is happening, maybe the religion grows, and the priests say we have to give more to quell the moon god because he's dissatisfied with us somehow. Or maybe if it's the humans coming in, maybe this increases the might of the loyalists who say, hey, we need to align ourselves right now with the great dwarven kingdom so we don't get taken over by this human settlement. And I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to say that the great fear right here is going to be humans from the north. And because of this great fear of humans from the north, there's a stronger cry now to align with the dwarven city. That, to me, will be a really cool sort of way to do this. We're going to get to add a new faction because we've entered another age. So I think what's going to happen here, as the loyalists are growing, they are actually going to take over another segment of the city. And this will be where also the loyalists hang out. So our loyalists right now are coming on strong, and there's a hint of humans up here. But like I said, we could totally spin this another way and come out with a totally different story. All right, let's see. Our next event is 352. 352 is another resource. I don't think we need another resource, so let's try 253. Let's see if that gives us something better. I like the idea of having this one special resource in this town. So what does 253 give us? Okay, all right, so 253 is 253. Drastic changes enforced. Could a law or a regulation really change everyday life? Could something like alcohol ever be prohibited? Add or remove something. And I think what we're going to say here for our drastic change, I think we're going to wipe out the for the independents. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a establishment of governance, right? We haven't had that up to now. Our drastic change is that they are going to form a government system, and they're going to formally declare themselves under the umbrella guise protection of the main dwarven city. So our drastic change is that the loyalists come into power, the loyalists set up a governing body, and the independents, who used to have an equal voice, are now forced, if they want to continue voicing this, to go underground and become dissenters, maybe not criminals, but I would maybe even say persecuted. They're going to become a super minority. So we've gone from being an equal voice to them getting quieter and quieter and quieter. And now we're going to have the establishment of this is part of the big dwarven city at this point. And that's going to be our drastic change. So we're going to add another token, and I think we're just going to keep pumping out the loyalists. They are going to continue to take over blocks and blocks and blocks. Let's actually just increase the density here. Let's just say that there are now more loyalists come in. So let's this. Here we have more loyalists. They are taking over the neighborhood, and our poor little independents have faded to the background. Okay, I think that works. How about a 525? 525. This one works right in with us as well. A majestic new bridge, a marvel of engineering, spans across a river or the slums of the poor. Where does the material come from? Who suffered building it? Add a landmark. Okay, so obviously here, I think we can see where this bridge needs to go. We're going to make a bridge that's going to connect, right? We're going to connect these hills. Maybe they haven't found the connection underground yet, but they've seen these in the distance, and they're greedily wanting to get to them and mine that area as well. So let's go ahead and make a beautiful bridge that comes up and over here like so. Okay, I'm gonna add that. And I kind of feel like once that happens, let's say that this district is the next to grow. We get our first growth over the bridge right around this river grows up. And I'm gonna say the consequence of making this is we're gonna develop a lower class. Up until now, we've had a pretty high class city going here, but we needed some hard labor to make this work. And in order to get that hard labor, maybe we've developed more of a working community, I'm gonna say, that's gonna live around here. And these are gonna be used to make the bridge, and maybe we're gonna send them in to do some grunt work in the mines. But this is gonna be our new area, and it's gonna be a little lower class than what we've normally had. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. 156. Gangs claim districts. A crime syndicate or a gang has managed to gain control of at least one district. What links them to this place? Why aren't they stopped? Well, I think we kind of saw this one coming, didn't we? We made here a little lower working class on the other side of the river. So they're separated from our loyalists. They're separated from the temple of worship, which I'm assuming is kind of going to be a nice high class place. They're separated from the skilled miners, and we've sort of stuck them alone here on the other side of the river on this magnificent bridge. And maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So we are going to say that this side of the river, we're going to add another area here. And we're going to say that the North River bank right here, this area is going to be taken over by Crime Syndicate. And we're going to come up with a new faction. They're going to be here, and we're going to give them a faction token. And let's give them a bloody teardrop. That sounds like a really cool thing for a crime syndicate to have. And they are in charge of the North River banks. Okay, so we now have sort of a bad part of town. Very cool, very cool. And we have to add a growth token, and we're going to put that over here. The poor areas are increasing. Oh no, loyalists, sorry about that. How about a 655? Whoa, that's a big roll. All right. 655 is wildfires. I don't know. Crops are ruined. That's really not us. We're not crop driven. Let's see what 556 is. Let's see if that fits in a little better with our city. Ooh, this is a good one for us.
Ground becomes unstable. Buildings tilt, roads crack open. Did the earth tremble? Is the ground unstable? Or was this the work of evil mole men? Remove a district. Okay, so this makes sense for us. The ground trembles. I think for sure what's going to happen is something's going to go terribly wrong with the mining. And I think it makes sense that it's going to be the new mining area. I'm going to say corners were cut, all right? Maybe in our greed and our haste to get to this precious resource, we didn't shore up the caverns as well as we should have. We didn't invest all of the safety equipment that we did in the original mining area. This one was a little shoddily done. The people that are being used, we don't really care about too much. So we're going to have a massive cave-in is going to happen here. And there's going to be a lot of lives lost. Most of them, unfortunately, are going to come from this little river district. And I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of unrest, bunch of calls for reform, right? People are going to be mad and angry at the senseless loss of life. There's going to be some loss of profit as well. So this is going to cause a lot of turmoil within our city. So what happens after this massive cave-in? How about a 133? 133 is a war is lost. Now enemy has won a war against the city. Guess we could be invaded, but that seems a little bit weird. So let's reverse that one and see what a 331 gives us. Okay. 331 is good times, a quiet, mostly happy period of modest progress, content lives in peace. Who is praised for this, or is this taken for granted? Okay, so I'm gonna say after this happened, after this terrible loss of lives, loss of money, loss of materials, I'm going to say that it was a wake-up call for our city, and they realized that they are all, kind of brings them together. They're all one people. They're all going for this greater good, that they have to take care of the laborers maybe, as well as the owners of the mine, and some sort of reform or peace is established. So what could have been a striking point of chaos somehow gets resolved. So we're gonna add back in here this little river district, and we're gonna add one more river district. We're gonna say this area gets invested in, this riverfront district, and we have some social change that goes on here. We still have our syndicate happening, that's fine, but the river district is going to grow, and I think that the people that are going to get, maybe the people that are going to get credit for this are going to be our independents, right? They've been kind of lurking in the background saying, we don't want to be like the big dwarven cities. We have a chance to make something bigger and better. And I'm going to say that they took this moment to grab some leadership for themselves and say, we want to make a change. Okay, we're going to be a dwarven city, that's fine, but let's be a different type. Let's be a better one. Let's have an ideological moment, a coming together of the minds, and we're going to have the reemergence of our independence. And they're not going to try maybe to break off anymore, but maybe they're going to try to make this little neck of the woods a better place. All right, so let's do that. Let's say that we're going to have our independence come back. They're going to come back online. So I'm going to give them a token as they reemerge. Okay, we only have 3 more events. How about a 535? Did we already do that one? No, this is interesting. 535 is trouble with the food supply. Food imports don't arrive, harvests are meager, people struggle. Do they starve or move away? How does the cuisine adapt? Remove a district. Well, we kind of know where that's going to be. It's definitely going to be some of the poorer people just don't make it, unfortunately. What happens? Maybe we've grown a little too fast, right? We've focused so hard on mining that we haven't established our own food supply, our own food systems. We've been dependent on the dwarven city. Prices are rising, and we aren't importing enough, or we don't have enough money to import everything we need. And maybe there's a call now to be a little more self-sufficient. And you know who's leading that charge, right? Our independents. Our independents are saying, hey,
We've had some good times. We've established this beautiful community. Let's make ourselves more self-sufficient. So I'm going to add an influence token to our independence, and their voice is going to grow just a little bit stronger in the wake of this massive food shortage. Okay, let's see what happens next in our food-starved city. How about 314? Ooh, interesting. 314, a trade war costs dearly. A lack of goods, a lack of access, a lack of money. The city loses the war and pays. Who is stuck footing the bill? Oh, action loses power. All right, so I think we know what's going to happen here. I think that the independents are making some noise, right, about, hey, we need to become more self-sufficient. It gets back to the head city, and they're not happy with this talk. So they start to squeeze off supplies to teach this little upstart that they can't be talking like this. They're dependent, and they need to remember it. But it backfires, right? It backfires, and I'm going to take power away from the loyalists and add this in again to the independents. So we're going to add another city, and this city, or district, sorry, and we're going to make this district independent. So we're going to give them some control. And now I feel like there's sort of an open call here for breaking away. This is going to be the moment of truth here. This is going to be the moment of truth. It backfires, and there's a sort of a revolution within our little city, and we're going to decide to do it on our own. We are going to decide to break off and become our own city. Okay, so the independents are going to take over. The loyalists are down to just one little token, so they're still there. There's still a few people who are like, no, don't do this. This is crazy. But the independents have won over the North District here, right? And oh yeah, they probably have grown as well. They've won over the North District. Maybe they've made some sort of a deal here with the Syndicate, who's also very interested, right, in a little more vulnerable city. So maybe they've all bound together to break away at this moment from their mother city, and now they're going to become their own independent thing. And that's probably going to add in, I think what I'm going to do, even though it doesn't say to do this, but I think it makes sense. We're going to add in another faction here, and that's going to be our own food supply. And I think I'm going to set that down here, and we're going to give them their own faction. These are going to be our farmers, our hunters, and our gatherers. We are going to start our own way of surviving. We'll just make them a leaf because that's something I can draw. All right, so we are no longer going to depend on food anymore. We're going to invest in our own infrastructure. Cool. And now we get our last event, and our city will be finished. That will be, maybe, let's check out 216. Ah, what a great way to end. Yeah, you couldn't ask for something better. The city rises in prominence. It becomes a regional key city, or even its nation's capital. Was this clever political move or prompted by necessity? A faction gains power. All right, well, this is pretty obvious here, right? I feel like our independents have officially taken over. We'll give them this. Our city has continued to grow. Let's take over maybe this area of the river now is now incorporated in our city right above the falls here. And we have successfully broken away. We have successfully established ourselves as our own people. And maybe the reason we did this is because we found our allies in the north. Maybe we've broken ties with our dwarven settlement and we've instead started trading with the humans from the north. Now what that brings with it, we don't know, because this is where our little city development has ended. And if we look back, I mean, there's just so many storylines that we can play with at this point, right? We have our cave system, half of which has collapsed. We don't really know why. There could be something going on there. We have tensions with the kingdom we've just broken away with. We have a few loyalists who remain. We have a crime syndicate still in control of the North Shore. And we have a brand new established trade routes with the human settlement and what that's going to entail and bring. We still have our moon cult going strong and doing all sorts of weird moon things. And we have the rise of sort of farming, merchants, trade, building our own hub of commerce, right? And becoming a city of trade. Maybe we're the bridge. Maybe our city becomes the bridge between the humans and the dwarves, and we become that mixing pot where goods are traded, and we're like this nice neutral city where both species can coexist and interact. Maybe there's some tension there as well, but we are the neutral zone that divides these two kingdoms. Such a cool way to come up with a place, such a cool way to come up with stories and built-in conflicts. I think you can see pretty easily how you could place an adventure here, or you could start a short story from here, or if you were doing solo role play like D100, instead of just randomly going out and killing things, we now have a location and a reason and a motivation for what we're doing. So just for the fun of it, I went ahead and finished my map as I thought our city would be. I added our farming district down here with a little bit of hunters, maybe around this side of the forest. We have a bunch of roads that go through here, and then on this side of the rapids, I put maybe some docks, because this is where trade comes in with the dwarves. We have a bunch of warehouse. We have a merchant district kind of rising up over here. And then, of course, remember, we have the rocks that no one can get by. So that means that the human trade comes in, and we need another dock district this time over here with another little merchant class. These deal with the humans, these deal with the dwarfs, and because of these rapids in the middle, never the two shall mix. I have my little sort of lower class living here on the North Shore, where we have our blood syndicate going on with our collapsed mine that we don't know what happened to. And I've drawn in some roads that we can see going through. I've decided this is the main crossroads. So I put a little market here and a little bit of a green space, maybe for some sort of gatherings at the base of our majestic bridge. And if we travel on down here, I've increased our little, what was this, the moon priests area. We have a little gathering place for ceremonies, and they've taken over this little corner. And we've given the little farmer's market down here as well. So just based on what we've done, I've been able to make regions, I've been able to make socioeconomic areas, I've been able to make some trade, some conflict, and as well some mystery in our little map. I think this would be a fun place to set an adventure, to set a story, or just to dream about. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed Ex Novio. Give it a shot if you're looking to do some world building on your own. See you next time.